The storm hadn't reached Ouagadougou yet, but the air knew it was coming. Lightning licked the sky above the presidential compound, dancing behind thick glass walls that shimmered in the tension. Inside, under flickering fluorescent lights, Ibrahim Traoré stood alone in the war room, staring at the classified files spread across the table like a surgeon eyeing a body before the first incision. He wasn't reading. He'd already memorized every line. One file stood out, marked only with the word Zircon, a codename whispered through secure channels, suspected to belong to the most deeply embedded spy in Burkina Faso's government. No name, no photo, just the evidence: leaked communiques, intercepted calls, and satellite images of clandestine meetings between an unnamed official and a foreign diplomat in Mali. He exhaled slowly. His breath fogged the glass of the map projection behind him. "I don't want this to be true," he whispered to no one. A knock echoed. "Come in." Colonel Sanu, one of Traoré's most trusted men, entered with the quiet gravity of someone used to carrying bad news. He saluted, then placed a tablet on the table. It was already playing a video, grainy, time-stamped, infrared. 3 men stood beneath a railway bridge. One of them wore the uniform of the Presidential Guard. The voice on the recording was filtered through static, but the words landed like bullets. "The transition must fail. The Americans want instability. The French, money. All I want is the chair he sits in." The camera zoomed. The face was clear. Traoré's spine straightened. It was Captain Darius Kabor, his friend, his comrade from the trenches of the northern fronts. The man who'd taken a bullet meant for him. The man who once told him, "If I ever betray you, brother, shoot me twice." Sanu said nothing. He didn't need to. The silence between soldiers who'd bled together is sharper than words. Traoré's fingers trembled, only for a second, but he clenched them into a fist and pressed them flat against the table. "How long have we known?" he asked, voice low. 3 weeks. We confirmed last night. And no leak? Not yet. But the window's closing. Traoré turned to the tall glass doors behind him, looking out into the darkness beyond the compound. Somewhere out there, Darius was sleeping, or pretending to. He had to decide now. Bring him in quietly. Confront him. Or let him run. No. That wasn't an option. Not when the country was crumbling at the edges, under siege by militants and corrupted hands. Trust was the last thing they had left. "Prepare the safe room," Traoré said. "I'll speak to him myself." Sanu blinked. "Sir, with respect. He deserves that. Sir, he might be armed. He might have backup. We should. He won't raise a hand against me. If he does, then I'll know everything I need to know." A few hours later, the heavy doors of the underground holding chamber groaned shut behind Darius Kabor. He stood alone, shirt half-buttoned, still smelling of cologne and ash. No shackles. No soldiers pointing guns. Just him and Ibrahim Traoré, face to face in the dim red glow of the chamber's single bulb. "You could have sent anyone," Darius said, voice rough. "But I sent myself." Traoré stepped forward. His boots echoed, but not his heart. That stayed still, unreadable. "I wanted to look into your eyes when I asked you." "Why?" Darius blinked. There was a flash of something in his eyes: shame, anger, regret, defiance. It passed too quickly to name. "Don't do this," he said softly. "Don't make me choose between lying to your face, or breaking in front of you." "I already broke, Darius. When I saw that video." Silence. "You have no idea what you're playing with," Darius finally muttered, stepping back. "These people, the ones pulling strings, they don't threaten. They erase. You think you can walk Burkina Faso into sovereignty? They'll bury you under your ideals. Me? I tried to slow it down. Bargain. Buy time. With betrayal. With calculation." Traoré stared. Then, slowly, he reached into his coat. Darius flinched, his hand twitching near his belt, but stopped when he saw what Traoré pulled out. A single bullet. He held it up between two fingers. "You remember this?" he asked. "You pulled it from my vest in Djibo. Said it was a message from God, not yet delivered." Darius looked away. "Well," Traoré continued, stepping closer, placing the bullet gently on the metal table between them, "God's patient. But I'm not." He turned toward the door, but paused. "You said once, if you ever betrayed me, I should shoot you twice." Darius didn't respond. "I'll only need one." The door slammed shut behind him. Outside, Sanu waited. "Orders?" he asked. Traoré's jaw tensed. "No one talks to him." "Not yet. Not until I understand what game he's really playing." "Sir, do you believe he's alone in this?" "I don't believe anything anymore." Lightning flashed again, and the storm finally arrived, thundering across Ouagadougou like a warning from the ancestors. But inside the compound, the real war was just beginning. The rain hammered the capital like it was trying to wash away the truth. Inside the compound, Ibrahim Traoré sat alone in his private study, door locked, curtains drawn, files open but untouched. He wasn't reading anymore. He was remembering. The kind of remembering that tightens the chest and makes silence louder. He saw Darius again, 12 years ago, under fire, bleeding from the shoulder and laughing anyway. He remembered the desert patrols, the hunger, the bullet holes in their boots. He remembered the oath they made over a grave outside Ouagadougou, swearing they'd never be like the men who sold their country for conference rooms and foreign medals. He had believed him. Now he wasn't sure what he believed anymore. A knock, too soft for a soldier. "Come in." Minister Fatou Douamba entered, her white babous soaked from the storm. The intelligence chief rarely visited unannounced, and never without cause. Her face was tight, eyes red with fury, buried, but not hidden. "They know," she said before even sitting down. "The Americans. The French. Someone told them we found zircon." Traoré's heart sank. "How?" "I don't know. But your diplomatic channels are drying up. Everyone's gone quiet or suddenly polite. Too polite. Which means they're waiting to see what you'll do. Whether you bury this, or whether you burn the house down." He looked at her for a long moment. "And what would you do?" Fatou narrowed her eyes. "I'd burn it." Loudly. He smiled faintly. "You always were more direct than me." "No, Ibrahim. I'm just done pretending we're not already at war." She dropped a fresh folder on the desk. The seal was black. Counterintelligence traced the leak. "Not Darius, he's been off the grid for 3 days before we picked him up. It was internal. Someone within our circle of command. Possibly even the war cabinet." The word cancer floated silently between them. "You think it's more than just him?" Traoré asked. "I think you're sitting in a house with 10 doors, and only one has a way out. But every one of those doors looks the same until it's too late." His phone buzzed. It was Sanu. "Darius has requested a private conversation. No surveillance. He says, you'll never understand unless you let me talk as a brother, not a prisoner." He stared at the screen for a long time. "I'll go," he said, standing. "Ibrahim, don't be foolish. He's trained. If he—" "I won't walk in unarmed," Traoré replied. "And he won't walk out if he tries anything." Fatou gave him a look that said she'd warned him twice. The cell was colder this time. Darius was pacing like a lion with nowhere left to stalk. Traoré entered slowly, no guards. Just his sidearm, visible. A signal. "I'm not afraid. But I'm not blind." Darius turned. His face was tired, but not broken. "I said I'd only talk if it was you. Alone. You got your wish. I didn't wish for any of this." "Then explain it." Darius stared at him. "There's something you need to see," he said. From inside his waistband, he slowly pulled a black chip, encrypted storage, illegal in half the world. Traoré hesitated. Then stepped forward and took it. Plug it in somewhere private. What you'll see isn't just about me. I'm not giving you anything until I understand what you are now. You were family. You bled beside me. So why this? Why now? Darius looked up, eyes glinting like a knife just before it strikes. Because the betrayal didn't start with me. It started when we won. Traoré blinked. What? You remember the convoy and fought in Gurma? When we liberated those villages from the mercs? When we took back the gold mines? Yes. And remember how the contracts vanished afterward? The funds? The reconstruction teams that never arrived? Traoré said nothing. I dug, Ibrahim. I went too deep. Found names. Codes. Orders that didn't come from us. French operations using our own government's seal. Americans funding stabilization units that destabilized us. And someone, inside, greenlit it all. Traoré's breath froze. You're saying, we're not just infiltrated. We're being puppeteered. And you thought you could play along? Cut a deal with them? No, Darius said. I joined to expose them. To feed them half-truths, delay their plans. I was deep cover, but I got too close. They made me an offer. Money. Power. Position. And you took it. I smiled. I took their offer. Then I turned around and fed everything I could to a dead drop. Traoré's head pounded. So why hide it from me? Why not come to me? Because you're too clean. Too honest. They watch you like a hawk. You disappear into a safe house for 1 hour and 10 agencies ask questions. But me? Darius gave a sad grin. They expect betrayal from men like me. Traoré stepped back. The room felt smaller. If I believe you, he said, then I have a cancer so deep I can't even trust my lungs to breathe without permission. Yes. If I don't believe you. Then shoot me, Darius said. But plug in that chip first. Outside, the guards waited. Fatou's voice crackled over the comms. Mr. President. The Russian ambassador just cancelled your meeting. Said something about unfortunate internal instability. Traoré closed his eyes. The fire wasn't just inside the walls anymore. It was everywhere. And he was holding a match in one hand, and gasoline in the other. The encrypted chip hissed softly as it slotted into the secure laptop, the only one Traoré trusted, kept offline, battery removable, locked in a biometric vault that not even Sanu could open without his hand and eye together. The screen blinked once. Then again. Then lines of code unraveled into images, documents, and recordings that should not have existed. He watched in silence. Leaked memos from foreign embassies, plans to create manageable disruption in key mineral corridors. Instability for leverage, one document read, initialed with the seal of an external intelligence agency. Photographs of briefcases filled with cash handed off to mid-level Burkinabe officials beneath embassy awnings. A video, grainy but unmistakable, of a high-ranking cabinet minister in Traoré's own war council toasting glasses with a French advisor over maps of southern gold extraction zones. Traoré's heart beat slower. He didn't even realize he had stopped breathing until the screen displayed a final file, Shadow Protocol, Fragment Africa. It was worse than treason. It was architecture. The betrayal wasn't personal, it was systemic. Designed. Decades in motion. He wasn't just standing on a trapdoor. He had been elected to decorate it. A voice behind him. You believe me now. Darius stood at the entrance, flanked by Sanu and 2 guards. Traoré didn't remember authorizing the breach of his office. Sanu's face was a mix of tension and respect, the kind soldiers carry when rules are being broken, but for reasons no one dares question. He nodded at them. Leave us. They obeyed. Traoré turned the laptop so Darius could see. This, he said, could break our nation. Darius stepped forward slowly. Or finally rebuild it the right way. I release this, and we have chaos. Riots. Mutiny in the army. Allies who suddenly become enemies. And the people, he swallowed, they'll lose all faith. You think they still have it? Darius said quietly. The farmers watching foreign flags fly over their gold mines. The children growing up near French bases that offer security to everyone but them. The mothers who see aid trucks come with cameras, but never medicine. Traoré leaned against the desk, shoulders heavy. I can't be the flame and the shield, Darius. Then be the storm. A silence stretched between them. Then Traoré spoke, voice like stone. If I do this, there's no going back. They'll come for both of us. Maybe not today, maybe not this year, but eventually. And not just with bullets. With shame. With lies. With assassins dressed as friends. Darius smiled faintly. Then I hope you've been practicing your aim. The next day, Traoré convened the war cabinet. It wasn't in the official chamber. He called it in the underground crisis bunker, no press, no aides, no recording devices. The kind of room that smells like steel and sweat. The kind of room that ends careers, or lives. 7 men and women sat at the steel table. Ministers. Generals. 1 civilian advisor with 2 clean hands and a too polite accent. Traoré looked at each of them like a man counting wolves in the dark. He said nothing for a full minute. Then he dropped the laptop on the table. Play it, he told the guard beside him. The screen lit up. The memos. The meetings. The video of the toast. Gasps. A cough. A clenched jaw. One of the generals looked pale. Another looked angry. Only the civilian advisor reached for a pen. When the screen went dark, Traoré spoke. I know some of you are named in these files. Some of you are not. Either way, you are in this room because I want you to hear it from my mouth, not from the street. What do you plan to do? Asked Minister Boubacar, voice tight. Announce a national security review. Disband the War Council temporarily. Appoint an independent task force. Everything will look legal. Calm. And privately, asked General Camara. I will cut out the cancer. No one spoke. Because everyone was thinking the same thing. Who does he mean? Me? You? All of us. But that's suicide, said the civilian. You expose this, and we lose the aid pipeline. You'll collapse the economy. Then let it collapse, Traoré said. And let us rebuild it with hands that don't shake when a foreign number calls. The room rippled with unspoken war. Who gave you this intelligence? General Camara asked suddenly. Traoré met his eyes. A man I once called brother. And you still trust him? No, he said calmly. But I trust the fire he lit. Later that night, Sanu stood outside the underground holding cell, arms crossed. He's not there, the guard stammered. What? We did hourly checks. Last one, he was sleeping. Now, gone. Sanu opened the cell himself. The mattress was cold. The wall had been scraped at, behind a loose panel, empty wires dangled. Traoré arrived seconds later. There was no struggle. No blood. Just one thing left behind, a small notebook. On the first page, Darius had written a single line. The truth is too big for one man to carry. So I'll keep moving. Traoré stared at the page for a long time. Then closed it. Seal the compound. Full lockdown. If he left without clearance, we find how. If someone helped him, we find who. And if we don't? Traoré's eyes narrowed. Then someone in this compound has just declared war. The presidential compound was silent but not still. Behind every door, under every tile, the air was tight with suspicion. Phones were confiscated. Desks were cleared. Even the cooks were interrogated. No one entered or exited without a triple check. The cameras watched everything, except the one place that mattered. A blind spot. One corridor with a 10-minute outage. A place that should never have gone dark. He had help, Sanu growled, slamming the CCTV logs on the conference table. Traoré sat at the head, unmoving. Fatou paced behind him, hands locked behind her back, fury in her eyes like boiling mercury. He didn't vanish, she snapped. He was extracted. Slipped out clean. You think that happens without someone inside clearing the path? Traoré said nothing. He was listening. Not to them. But to the shape of the silence around their words. 3 other ministers had gone mysteriously absent from routine briefings that day. A minor logistics officer had resigned just hours after the escape. And the civilian advisor from the War Council? Nowhere to be found. Whoever helped him, Fatou continued, they're protecting something bigger. This wasn't a rescue. This was containment. Sanu's jaw tightened. You still think he's the spy? No, Traoré said softly. I think he's the fuse. They looked at him. You light a fuse, he said, when you want to blow up something so dangerous, you don't trust anyone else to touch it. That night, the compound was struck. Not by bombs. By something quieter. Information. At exactly 2:03 a.m., an anonymous message hit every major journalist in Burkina Faso, and foreign desks from Paris to Johannesburg. A video, identical to what Traoré had seen on the encrypted drive. And more. Wiretaps. Photos. A chart that named 5 current officials, including 2 international partners, as complicit in the economic dismantling of Burkina Faso's sovereignty. The leak was surgical. Brutal. Timed to ensure maximum coverage at the worst possible hour. By dawn, social media was ablaze. Protesters gathered in Ouagadougou, not to riot, but to demand answers. Chants echoed through the capital. No more puppets. Gold for Burkina, not the West. Where is the president? Inside the compound, a war council of 1 sat at his desk, watching the country erupt. Traoré rubbed his eyes. He hadn't slept in 48 hours. And the worst was coming. The phone rang. Private line. No ID. He picked it up. President Traoré. A familiar voice. Calm. Polished. Foreign. We would prefer the next steps be diplomatic, the voice said. French, but with that twisted smile you can hear through a wire. And if I decline? There was a pause. The kind that smells like gunpowder. We wouldn't want to see a transition of power, forced. It never looks good on camera. The line went dead. Traoré stared at the phone. Sanu burst in seconds later. There's movement. Near the borders. Foreign aircraft. Unmarked. Traoré stood. Activate contingency protocol. Ground all non-military flights. Cancel foreign permits. And prepare a broadcast. Full national reach. Sanu blinked. You're going to tell them? I'm going to tell them everything. By noon, the country stood still. Every radio crackled. Every television blinked blue. The official seal of the presidency. And then, his face. Ibrahim Traoré stood before the nation, not behind a podium, not in a suit. In his combat fatigues. No flags behind him. Just truth. My name is Ibrahim Traoré, he began. And this may be the last time I address you as president. The country held its breath. We have discovered treason at the highest levels, not just by enemies outside, but by some trusted within. I have seen the documents. I have seen the money. I have heard the voices that call our people expendable. His eyes didn't blink. But I did not come into power to be a manager of corruption. I came to lead a people who deserve more than lies and chains dressed as treaties. He raised a page. The leaked chart. These names are real. These crimes are real. And if I must stand alone in burning this sickness out, then I will. Cameras zoomed in. His voice lowered. Do not follow the man. Follow the truth. Even if I fall, let Burkina Faso rise. He ended the speech without salute. Without anthem. The screen cut to black. Then the country erupted. Within an hour, 3 ministers resigned. By sunset, 2 foreign embassies had sealed their gates, citing security concerns. And behind closed doors, France and the US released identical statements, no comment at this time. But not all reactions were diplomatic. That night, Traoré's convoy was ambushed en route to a regional command center. A roadside IED, military grade, detonated beneath the lead vehicle. 2 guards dead. The third lost both legs. Traoré survived. Barely. Bloodied, ears ringing, he climbed out of the armored vehicle with a limp and one working eye. His coat was on fire. He tore it off and stood in the dust, staring into the smoke. Sanu dragged him back under cover. You're lucky, he said. No, Traoré rasped. I'm late. Late for what? For the war that's already begun. In the wreckage of the night, a courier arrived. No ID. Just a clean envelope, unmarked. Traoré opened it. Inside, a single photo. Darius Kabor. Standing in a refugee camp in Niger. Dressed as a field medic. Surrounded by children. On the back, still moving. Still watching. When the time is right, strike the heart. Traoré stared long and hard. Then burned the photo. Because some brothers don't return home. They become shadows, the kind that follow power wherever it hides. 1 week later, Burkina Faso held its breath. Not from fear. From decision. The people had taken to the streets, but not to destroy. They came with torches not to burn, but to light the way. From the red dust of Bobo Dioulasso to the rooftops of Ouagadougou, chants echoed like war drums wrapped in prayer. We are not the colony. We are not for sale. We stand with the lion. International pressure mounted. Aid programs were suspended. Sanctions loomed. A foreign task force floated the word intervention. And every shadow in the region waited, some with rifles, others with pens, all ready to write the final chapter of a nation gasping between sovereignty and siege. But Ibrahim Traoré did not bend. He rose. With stitches still fresh in his side and a burn wrapped across his left shoulder, he returned to the heart of the government, not to restore the old order, but to dismantle it. The National Assembly was dissolved by executive order. The War Council was reformed with frontline commanders and civil resistance leaders, not foreign-funded appointees. And most powerfully, the classified files were released publicly in full, with names redacted only for citizens not yet proven guilty. It was political suicide, according to every foreign advisor. It was rebirth, according to the people. But the war wasn't won. It was watching. 2 nights later, a drone breached Burkinabe airspace. Silent, high-altitude. Black Ops tech. Not military, contractor class. The kind deployed when a nation doesn't want fingerprints, just bodies. Fatou burst into the war room with footage, a heat signature, moving toward Traoré's coordinates. He was already moving. Sanu met him at the emergency exit, weapons drawn. Evac's ready. I'm not leaving, Traoré said. They're coming for you. Good. He took the encrypted communicator from his coat and keyed in a code no one else had seen him use before. Ping. Ping. Then silence. Who are you calling? Sanu asked. But Traoré didn't answer. He was listening. To wind. To timing. To the rhythm of betrayal tightening into justice. 40 minutes later, just as the drone passed over the capital, its signal cut, dead in the air. Disabled. Hijacked. By an uplink from northern Niger. Traoré smiled. Darius. The drone dropped. Not in flames. But softly, perfectly, onto a dirt strip miles away, intercepted and grounded by someone who knew every protocol, because they had written them. Later that night, Sanu approached the president. He did it. He gave us the drone. Why? Because he still believes, Traoré said. In you? In something bigger than either of us. The next day, the compound received a visitor. Not an ambassador. Not a general. A boy. 12 years old. Thin. Dust-covered. Clutching a package sealed in oilskin. He handed it directly to Traoré with trembling fingers. He said, "You'd know what to do," the boy whispered. Traoré opened it. Inside. A journal, written in Darius Kabor's hand. Maps with foreign pipeline routes and aid distribution plans that were cover for weapons shipments. And a message, handwritten on a torn strip of military linen. You don't need to catch the snake. Just show the people where its nest is. Traoré held a press briefing that evening. He didn't scream. He didn't wave flags. He simply walked to the podium, holding the journal. This, he said, is what they fear. He opened it. Not weapons. Not armies. Not power. But a single man with the truth, and a country that dares to listen. He read aloud passages that burned like scripture. He named no names, but made no apologies. He didn't ask for permission. He invited judgment. And the world responded. France withdrew its last contractors from Sahel operations. The United States quietly shuttered 2 black site installations in the region. And ECOWAS, under immense internal pressure, reversed its condemnation of Burkina Faso's unilateral leadership decisions. But the most powerful shift? It came from the people. Village elders began forming local protection coalitions, not militias, but councils trained by former soldiers. Farmers refused to sell land to foreign interests. Youths wrote songs about a president who bleeds like us. And in the north, a whisper grew. The ghost of Kabor. No one saw him. But someone was intercepting weapons convoys. Someone was disrupting smuggling routes. Someone was making the enemies of Burkina Faso afraid to whisper plans above a breath. One final night. In the courtyard of the compound, Ibrahim Traoré stood alone beneath the stars. A letter arrived, and signed, unsealed. Just a slip of paper, folded 4 times. He opened it slowly. One sentence. We lit the fire, brother. Now guard it. Or it will burn everything. No signature. No return. But he didn't need one. He folded the note. Put it inside his coat. And looked up. The storm had passed. But the sky wasn't calm. It was waiting.